Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video I'm going to be going over Jean Baptiste and basically giving you my ideas on how to build this character if you want to get the most damage out of him. And that's how I kind of see him being used, is on an attack team, and honestly as a support character, a secondary character, not with the leader skill. You would have to build a very niche team for that leader skill, just because you're generally speaking not going to get enough AP to rush quick enough, and even if you were, you're not going to be able to take advantage of the crit on that on the majority of people's rushes anyway. So it's better to have someone with AP on attack as a leader. First off, we're going to look at the skills. I have gone over his abilities, his rush, his active skill, his leader skill, weapon potential, that sort of thing in a preview video if you want to check that out. This is about his build, and when it comes to those skills, I definitely say maxing both of those out is the way to go. He's an attack team character, so you can use those things as you wish. You can use the rush whenever you want, and you want it to be as most powerful it can be, and the same with the active. You want it to be the most powerful it can be when you actually do come to use it. It is actually reasonably well worth using that active if you have been, I think, attacked once on the first turn, because you will generally speaking have enough AP to rush, or if you, let's say, have a 8% weapon on an attack team in the hands of someone like Rick. So I think maxing both of these out is definitely the way to go. Now, as we come on to his combat mods, these are pretty straightforward. If we're going to make him offensive, we want to go with attack set as the primary thing here. In the top left-hand corner, should be quite obvious as well. Attack on attack. Get your highest attack stat in there. You want to build that attack stat up as much as possible. You're going to be having attack on his mods, attack on his weapon, and hopefully attack from the leader skill as well. So with attack on attack in there, we're also going to go with attack versus strong. This is going to amplify his damage that he's going to do, because he does trait damage. He's now going to do increased damage on top. And basically you're just going to try and wipe 3 strong characters. I primarily see this guy as someone who's going to be good against strong characters, but not much else. If you do take out characters with his rush, and the way it works, he will stun extra people, which is actually extremely powerful. So if you can get that to happen, that's really beneficial. So you need to get takedowns to get that to happen. The more damage, the better. Now, when it comes to the resist slot, it really depends what team you're going to be taking him in against. I will primarily use him against, like, say, a Javier team, because I think he would work quite well there, and that's why we're going to do some of the tests later on. And if you do want to use him against a Javier team, it's definitely worth having attack down resist. You should have pretty good attack down resist just laying around, because this is pretty much the only team you'd want to use it on, and against a Javier is pretty much it. And resisting that off the bat is obviously going to be a massive advantage when you get your rushes off. So in my build, I'm going to go with attack down resist, but if you do not see yourself primarily using him against Javier, try and think of the resist that you're going to need. If you're coming up against, let's say, Marge teams, you might want to go for exhaust resist if you want to try and get past her initial AP gain blocker. Or you might try and do bleed resist because of the potential of Mr. Lose on defense teams. It's pretty much up to you here. Now, in the bottom left-hand corner, the auxiliary slot, this one is a little bit more difficult, and it's because if you are rolling with that active on turn 2, he's only going to do a basic attack turn 1, active turn 2, rush turn 3. So he's not going to take advantage of on-attack effects so much, and that includes crit, because he's only going to be doing one attack that's going to actually take advantage of a crit boost. So crit multiplier is going to be out the window. So is bleed, burn, anything like this. So he's going to actually be pretty hard to really gear in that bottom left-hand corner. But where you could see your team maybe being a little bit weak is potentially with some control, and putting some AP drain in here is generally okay. While it is required that you do attack to get it to happen, you could decide to actually attack over doing his active if you wanted to try and get an AP drain somewhere. I personally don't really think you can really do anything too right in that bottom left hand corner. The auxiliary slot is very particular the majority of the time, and there's not too much that Jean Baptiste can take advantage of with his rush, his active, or any part of his kit. Now at the last slot, the wild card slot, you could double down on the damage amplification. You could go with attack versus tough, and this way you're obviously coming up against strong and tough characters on defense teams with Javier in them, and it would work pretty well. You could go for a secondary resist if you think that certain active skills are going to go off turn 1 that could block you. For instance, Tara does have an active skill that blocks daze. Do you think Jean Baptiste's active is really, really important for you? Then you could maybe go with daze resist. Personally, I wouldn't really go into the daze resist territory. Or you could give him, let's say, a defense mod just to bring his defense up to the sort of region where his HP is to give him a bit more survivability. But personally, I'm going to go with stun resist, and this is because I'm coming up against strong characters and they could have stun on attack. A lot of strong characters on defense teams do like to go with stun on attack and to try and get in some early control on your attack teams. Now, if you are going to use Axel as your leader, you will not need this as much. You get 2 turns of stun resist, so you can avoid going for this really. But otherwise, I think it is a good idea. If you're going to have Erin as your leader, then stun resist is a good option. Now, as you can see, his attack stat has been boosted by over 1,000 due to his attack on attack and the attack set. You can obviously boost that a lot higher if you get a platinum attack on attack mod, because the max you can get with a gold attack stat mod is actually lower than you can get with the worst possible outcome of a platinum attack stat mod. So just put attack on him, even if it's a bad platinum, it is going to be very good in his hands. Now, when it comes to his weapon, he does not have an attached weapon, and this is where you're going to need to figure out what you need to build. I'd say there's only 3 primary stats that are quite important for him. Attack percentage in the top slot, AP on attack in the second slot, and then in the 4th slot, when you make it a 5-star weapon, 1535. The 3rd slot is pretty much up to you. You could go with splash damage, or you can go with stun on defense. There's no real bad choice between the 2. As long as it's got reasonably high attack percentage, at least a very large bonus to AP on attack on it, and a 1535 in the 4th slot, you should be good. You can also use the weapon from the current battle pass in his hands if you want, but I do think a 1535 weapon will work better for him, just because, like I said, with the auxiliary mod, he's not going to be doing basic attacks too often, so he's not going to be able to take advantage of that 3rd and 4th slot as much. Now, I put a 40% weapon in his hands, as you can see, and his attack gets boosted up to nearly 10,000. This is without a leader skill and without 1535 surrounding him. Once he has got a leader skill of 40% and 2 1535s adjacent as well, he gets boosted up to 17,302 attack, which is not too bad for a non-leader. He is more of a support character, I find, as much as he is considered a damage dealer, just because of what his rush brings. It does bring control. So you're going to be having other characters in your attack teams that are primarily the damage dealers, but this guy is going to hit hard and could potentially take out a couple of characters the way I've built him without too much of an issue. So here's the little test team that I'm going to use him in against a Javier defense team. I'll show you the defense team in just a second, but we have Erin, who is in the museum, obviously a war character. Dr. Steven's been available quite a few times. He is also currently in the war depot if you want to pick him up in the crate. We have S-Class Kenny, who is an event character, reasonably accessible. Jean Baptiste, obviously a Gold Bricks character, very accessible. And Rick has been in the dailies, he's been in Battle Pass. You should be working towards Rick as a command for a reasonable amount of time because he's a very good character. As you can see, the attack stats on 2 of these characters are extremely high. S-Class Erin and Jean Baptiste can do a lot of damage. Those are the characters who are going to try and get the rushes off, but I do think it's better to actually rush with Jean Baptiste first and then follow up with Erin. And this is because Jean Baptiste, when he takes people down, he can stun other enemies who are still alive, whereas Erin impairs and takes down the characters that she attacks. If she takes down characters, no other extra characters get impaired. But I'm going to try and get Kenny and Jean Baptiste to rush at the same time. This way the amplification damage will come in with Jean Baptiste, and hopefully it's going to be a really, really big amount of damage. If I can resist that attack down, that is going to be quite important. I have got like 65% resist, so it's not super high, but it is pretty good. I do think that Jean Baptiste is going to work quite well in a Dr. Stevens team as well, because if he does rush turn 2, and let's say Dr. Stevens gets attacked 3 times, and maybe he procs his weapon, let's say once or twice, Erin might get a bit of AP, but she might just not get enough to get her rush, whereas when Jean Baptiste rushes, 20 AP will go to all teammates, and then Erin will get her rush because of that. So here is the defense team that we're going to try and test this out at, and you can see that it's got a lot of high defense numbers: 11,000, 13,000, 12,000, 9,000, big defense or HP. Now the downside of this particular team is it is all green. It is all green, but it is potentially very fast rushing because of MJ, and that's why my first turn control with Dr. Stevens is going to be extremely important. I have got a very good anti-team for this. It's all about that first turn and can I resist that damn leader skill. So I have attack down resist on both my Erin and Jean Baptiste, but only Jean Baptiste resisted it. That's not too terrible. It's not too terrible. Now we've got to think what we're going to do here. The first turn potential, we have to shut down MJ and hope that we can obviously not have his active go off. We need to control him, and we're going to get the 2 rushes. We're not going to control him. I think this means that she is going to rush straight away. I think this means that she's going to rush straight away. We'll see. Yeah. Oof. She didn't get commanded. I kind of got away with it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to buff, and now Jean Baptiste should really destroy. Should. Fingers crossed. Comes in. 3 are going to get taken out, and 2 extras are going to get stunned. This is what he brings to the table. Now, you can see Erin did actually get 20 AP. She did not get any AP on that first turn because she attacked someone with absolute defense. And what's going to happen, I can just tune up the rush, and I can follow it up. And that's a nice takedown. So we're going to switch out a couple of characters, and it is generally better on defense teams to have a variation in traits to stop yourself having what happened there. I could easily counter that team because it was just all strong. Alert damage was just going to be absolutely devastating. Whereas this time around, not so much. I've not got attack versus tough, so we're going to see much more reduced damage coming in. We'll start off the fight again, and we see both of my characters resist this time round, which is obviously beneficial. And I have to find a window. The only window that I can see is obviously the man over here. And we don't really want to control him if we can. We want to control somebody else. I mean, if we can control the shield, that'd be great. We are going to control the shield. We actually controlled great people here. I think she's got AP down. Let me just check. Stun. She's got stun. I can proc. Okay. Oh, we're going to get AP drained. So this is where the problems come in. There's some problems. Let me see what the damage output is going to be this time round. Ah, then we have to remove his... That's where problems... I'm going to go for Georgia again. There we go. See the block damage on the Guardian Shield and the block damage on... well, the reduced damage incoming because of him. Not great. Frost is tanked quite a hit there. I'm going to try and follow it up again. Let's see. He's going to cleanse and then the revives come in. Much, much tougher this time around. And in these sort of situations, I'm guessing I can't really use certain characters. Pretty much. I can't really use certain characters. Or I have to use a better mix myself. I'm kind of falling into the trap that the previous defense did, which was using too many alert damage dealers and not having anything else to follow up with. So this time around, we'll bring in Alpha, and we'll bring in the Trauma Axe as well, which works really good against Akira, and we'll see how well this fits. Okay, so attacking again, I do only get the resist on Jean Baptiste. That plat mod paying off quite massively. We're going to see if we can get some control. We're just going to get the trauma in. Akira is nasty, but he is quite easy AP gain early on. He is going to get stunned. Oh, I did disarm him. So he's not going to be able to cleanse. That's actually pretty cool. What we're going to do is we should have done Kenny's thing first turn, realistically. That was my bad. We're going to do Jean Baptiste active this time, and you're going to see some Guardian Shields pop up, which is nice. And this is good. There shouldn't be too much AP gain here. We are going to have some actives go off. Stun came in. We need to get some big damage out here. So who should we take out? I think we should take out Akira, because he's a tough character with Alpha. She should be able to take him down. It was fairly close. He's got a lot of defensive stats. Now we're going to try and nuke. We'll first nuke with her, because she'll just reduce people's HP like this. And now we'll nuke with Jean Baptiste. And then we see the AP. Oh, we could have done it the other way around. See, that's something to learn. We could have done it the other way around. Then we could have got the attack boost on Kenny. and then done errands. We could have done that way around. No big deal. No big deal. Oh, we did get another stun in. And it should be enough. This should be enough. Jean Baptiste is going to finish things off with a big hit. So as you see, in the right teams, if you set things up correctly, he can get a lot of attack stat and he can nuke real hard. The biggest issue he's going to have is coming up against tough characters. You might want to put attack versus tough and attack versus strong on his kit. Like I said, that auxiliary slot is kind of up to you, but he will be susceptible to stuns. But if you've got Axel leads instead of Eren, then you don't need it so much. You don't need it so much. So there's definitely potential ways of getting around this stuff. And I think he does lend a little bit of, power to free-to-play. But I think a lot of the promo characters that are already rolling around are just a little bit better than him already. You've got Andrea, who's been around for a while. She is quite accessible, and she's going to be more and more accessible as time goes along, and she is better than him by a mile. Like, if you had Andrea and Jean Baptiste to pick between, you're always going to pick Andrea pretty much. Unless you're coming up against the Marge. Now, he may work against Marge teams. You'd have to figure out a setup for that. You could go for Eren lead there as well, but no AP gain against Marge teams, guys. No AP gain. So Andrea is off the table. So those are my thoughts, my opinions on how you can build Jean Baptiste to do a reasonable amount of damage, as you saw. Getting used to the rhythm of how you're going to attack with him if you are going to use him. Using him first seems maybe the best way to go. I tried to use him last because I thought because of his control coming afterwards, but because of his AP gain, I could have boosted Eren's rush, and that's an easy fix for a future raid. You just kind of get into that rhythm where you realize how things are working. He's going to be very, very good against strong defense team characters, especially if you double down on the damage. But using him is pretty much up to you. Now, you may have noticed he is kind of bugged out at the moment, where when you try to upgrade him, he is not using knives to upgrade. There is going to be a collection in your museum that is going to remedy this, where you can hand in knives for the gear required to level up Jean Baptiste, but you don't necessarily have to use it on him, but you have got the option to claim that. I would definitely claim it. It probably will only last for the rest of the, this gold brick session. And it is exactly the amount of gear you're going to need to max out Jean Baptiste as an S-class character. But that's the end of my video, guys. Do leave your thoughts down below in the comments. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.